Hi there.
Hi, welcome back to Curious Collection. I'm Will.
I'm Cinnamon.
So we always talk about what we're going to do on our videos, and over the past week, we've been listing a little bit different stuff for us. At least I have, and it kind of brought me back to the same question I've always had in the beginning of a listing: is where does this go? Where does this get listed? So that's what we're going to do our show on today. Is that with eBay, even if you've been doing it for a long time, this might be a good refresher for you. If you're not used to listing in all of the different categories, there's a lot of different options that we have with categories and then item specifics so that we can get our item in the right place. And part of that is that if you put it in the wrong place, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
It might cost you a sale. It might cost you a listing. You might get a takedown on it. So, we definitely want to be careful with where things are getting categorized when we're doing our listings. It's not always simple. And so that's why we're like, you know what, let's just kind of do a dive on it and give you guys 15, 20 minutes to see what exactly we're talking about. So you want to start out with some jewelry? No? Go ahead and catch your breath. We have been battling cold in the house, so we've had 2 or 3 people sick now for a couple of days. So
sorry, guys.
It's been a challenge. So while she's composing herself, I'm going to jump right in. We've got some photographs here. So these are all from the 1960s. These are photograph prints. You can see there that great looking plane. 1960s paper. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. It's hard to actually convince my buyers that these are real because they are just so absolutely perfect and beautiful. But yeah, these are all from the 1960s. Different planes. So I did quick research on this. And so there's different places we can put something like this. We can put them under collectibles, photographic images and photos, or we can list it under collectibles, transportation, aviation, military photos and prints, or we can just list it under collectibles, transportation, aviation, and airline collectibles. So there's 3 different categories that we can list that specific photo under. Next item I've got is 2 different automotive guides. So I was telling you guys I just bought a bunch of these books. I've got a Chilton's. This is Cadillac, 1967 to 84. And then this is a factory produced 1974 shop manual. This is from Cadillac Motors. And so there's a couple of different places that we could do this. We can begin with the Chilton's has got a barcode and ISBN on it. So we could just take that, scan that. It's going to auto-populate. It's going to come up in the book category. And that would be very simple. Or we could take them both and we can put them in collectibles, transportation, automobilia, books and manuals, American vehicles. Or we could take these and we could categorize them and put them into eBay Motors, parts, manuals, and car and truck manuals, service and repair manuals. So they would literally
what is the difference between one category to the other?
So it, again, like I was saying, it matters because eBay has rules around this, and they tell you if you're intentionally miscategorizing items that you're going to get in trouble. So why would it matter? So to begin with, the photographs of airplanes. We want to make sure that those are in, at least for me, I put them in a photograph category. So the main category being photographs and images. And then I would just list them like that, following the item specifics around photography. Because when I go to ship this out, I can ship this in a standard envelope for 69 cents.
Yes, once they change the eBay standard envelope.
Right. So I can use a standard envelope, ship a small image like that for 69 cents. It's not going to have the same tracking on it. Again, we did another video about standard envelopes. So if you have questions about that, you can go back and check that video out. But that's one reason. 2, we want our customers to find the product. So we got to put it somewhere they're going to find it. If they're looking for antique images, vintage images, we want to make sure it's in the photo category because the computer is going to automatically go. If you say, I want an airplane photograph, it's going to go to the photographs and then give you all the airplanes. So that's to begin with on that specific item. That's why we want to do that. The other part is fees. So eBay is got different fees depending on what category you're selling in. If you're selling in collectibles, it's one price. If you're selling in eBay Motors, it's another. Jewelry is different. Musical instruments. Every category has its own fee structure. eBay wants to maximize the fee structure, and so they're going to make sure that to the best of their ability.
Sorry. Yeah.
So the Chilton's guides and the service manual. So what I found is that there's multiple of these listed in books, but people aren't looking for them in books. People that are looking these, they want
Their
something
car.
to repair their vehicle. And so on eBay Motors, if you've ever used eBay Motors, what they want you to do as a consumer is they want you to set up your vehicle in there with all of the item specifics from the consumer's perspective. So they want to know the age of the vehicle, they want to know the make and model, and they want to know the the trim styling. So is it an SLT, SLX, whatever that is, so that you can get the correct parts. So when I'm listing these, I'm putting them in eBay Motors, but as a seller, I need to go in now and I need to look and say, okay, on this book, it covers all U.S. and Canadian models of DeVille, Coupe DeVille, Sedan DeVille, Eldorado, Fleetwood Brougham, Seville, commercial chassis, and diesel V6, V8, V4 models, and then 1967 to 84. So this is going to end up accounting for probably 500 different vehicles. I need to select every single item specific if I want these customers to be able to find this. If I don't put those in, it's going to tell you when you go to that link to check the description to see if it fits your vehicle. It's not going to auto-populate this at the top of the search query on eBay Motors unless it's got the information.
Right. So the person looking for it isn't even going to be able to find it.
Right. The same thing as the 74 Cadillac. There's 74 Cadillac. There's about 12 different models of Cadillac that were made in 1974. So we need to put all those specifics in as well. Putting it in the book category for me, I found isn't working. I sold 3 of these over the weekend. They were all listed in eBay Motors under their specific item specifics. So it's not easy to do. If you only have one and it sells for $12, it might not be worth the hassle.
Right. But if you're going and you're deep diving into a category, like we often do, either because we buy an entire collection or because that's just the category we dive into. You know, some examples that I have, this is 835 silver. So, and it has marcasite. So you see those sparkly stones, right? Those are marcasite. I am not a gemologist. I can't tell you if those were lab created, if they were, I can tell you if they are a marcasite because I can test the hardness. But that's as far as I can go.
You're not grading the stones.
Right. I can't grade. I can't certify. I'm not doing any of those things. Therefore, I cannot list this item under the fine jewelry category because this is an 835 instead of 925. So because of that, I can't list this in fine jewelry. And then because I don't know the stones, whether they were natural or lab created, I also can't list that under the fine jewelry category. So I have to list my items. They say that if you don't know that information, you have to use fashion. So luckily my items are vintage and antique. So because of that, I can list everything under vintage and antique. But if you're looking for fine jewelry, you're not going to find my pieces because I can't list them under fine jewelry, even if they do qualify.
So what's happened? You've done this in the past. You've had items that you've listed under fine jewelry. You had, diamonds or rubies set in gold. So that would all make sense. That's a fine jewelry piece. What happens?
They ding you. They send it and they say, hey, you aren't using this category correctly. If you can't prove this, then you're going to get pulled. And they've already pulled the listing down. And they're like, if you keep this up, then you're going to get in trouble. So
right. You won't be permitted to sell in that category.
Right. Well, clearly that's not worth my business to me. So, I'm going to have to figure out a way to make this work for us. And what we've done is, I've chosen to put this under the vintage and antique. So another example that I have where, again, an item can fit under multiple categories. So this is a brooch, again, antique. So it's got marcasite in there. This one is 925. It's signed on the back from the maker's mark. So this item can easily be listed under, the vintage and antique. But this one is also an old pawn. So that's going to be the tribal, the Native American, with that malachite, with the stamped silver from a Native American tribe. Now we can go under the Native American. Again, you have to be incredibly careful because the Native American, unless you've got the stamp that actually like brings it back to Native American, you can't just claim something that you can't prove. So again, this is where you take that information and, I'm able to look up the maker's mark so that I can verify that this is from, the Zuni tribe or...
What would you do if you can't prove the tribe that it's from? What if it's an unmarked piece that looks like it's tribal?
Then you can say style perhaps, but you cannot claim anything that you cannot prove.
Right. So instead of listing it in Native American jewelry,
then at that point we would do the vintage, because again, you can't prove it. So you can list it under the vintage and antique, and you can say that it has, influences, but you cannot claim anything that you cannot actually prove.
Right. Right. So I've got one more piece here I want to talk to you guys about. And this specific piece, I actually want to tell you a little story about it. So this piece came back to us. This was a return. It's a piece of Fiesta ware. A person claimed that I sent them the wrong item. So they ordered 2 plates and supposedly I sent them a bowl, which is very interesting because you guys know we use a inventory system with SKU numbers. Every SKU is attached to the product before we even shelve it. And frankly, we've never had this product. We've never sold the salad bowl, the soup bowl. So I'm using it as an example because it's sitting in front of me. But this is a piece of Fiesta ware. This was probably made, they made this color for about 20 years. So it's probably made within the last 20 years. So you could easily say that that's a modern piece of dishware. You could put it in the home and garden, kitchen, dining, bar, dinnerware, serveware, bowls, right? So that would be the first category, is like it's a modern piece of dishware. You could definitely put it there. You could put it in with collectibles. Fiesta ware has a collectible following, specifically on the stuff coming out of the 30s and 40s. So you could definitely put it into collectibles, kitchen, home, dinnerware, serveware, bowls. The other place that I see people putting this, and this is where I kind of question, is this appropriate, is under pottery and glass. So pottery and glass, decorative cookware, dinnerware and serveware, bowls. So there's 3 different categories, again, that the same item could theoretically go into. How do we decide where it goes? How do we decide? Well, for me, I'm going to look at the comps. I'm going to pull that specific item. I'm going to go through and I'm going to see everyone that sold and where are they selling from, right? That's my best answer for where to put it, is where are customers looking to find it? Yes. And where is the algorithm pulling those from? So when I go and I look that up, a lot of times these will be in the collectibles category. So again, this matters.
It does. It was funny because like our son last year was looking for a plush of a certain character, and it was very hard to find, and it was stupid expensive. I don't understand plush, but hey, whatever. I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum. So he's looking for this plush, and they're well over $50. And so he is, using keywords and stuff that as a 14-year-old would use. And he found one that was listed in the wrong category. And because of that, he was able to get something that other people were selling for well over $50. He was able to get for less than half that cost because they didn't know what they had. They listed it in the wrong category. And, you know, so he lucked out. But as a seller, you don't want to leave everything on the table because,
right. And my suspicion is that that item had probably been listed for a long time. You know, as our items age in our inventory, we mark them down.
Right.
And as they get older, we mark it down. Eventually we get to a point where we go to pull that inventory to get rid of it and sell it off at a local auction in bulk or something. And sometimes I'll see, why was it listed in that category? It doesn't even make sense. It was so far off.
No wonder it didn't sell.
No wonder it didn't sell. Relist it. It sold in no time.
Sure.
So the other thing I wanted to go to is, well, why would it matter so much where this bowl's listed? The collectibles category with our store level subscription, eBay gives us 10,000 free listings a month. We don't get that if we're listing category. in some of the other categories. Pottery and glass, you don't get 10,000 extra listings. If you're listing it under home and garden, you don't get the 10,000 extra listings. Now, obviously, I'm not telling people to put it in the wrong category.
Right.
You have to put it in the correct category. And if you're choosing the wrong category, you know, eBay's looking at that. Even if it's an honest accident, it could be perceived to be intentional. And so we don't ever want to do anything that would jeopardize our ability to sell on any platform, or in any way deceive our consumer. Because again, if a customer were to look at this bowl and, oh, you listed it in collectibles, so that means it's from the collectible era. You know, so we definitely
have to be very careful with that. This vintage category that I use, it means that the items have to be more than 20 years old.
Right. Not just look like they're older.
Right.
Actually be older. So we don't want retro items. We want vintage. So that's kind of what we've been playing with recently is where the heck does this stuff go? As we jump into different categories, it's always fun to experiment and see how things actually work in real life.
Yeah.
You know,
and even seasoned and experienced eBay sellers, we still have to go back to the basics and be like, okay, what's this one? Anytime you get something new.
Yeah,
so.
and there's plenty of pitfalls. When we started listing those photographs I showed you, we were listing them under Airplane Collectibles. They weren't selling. It's no wonder. We still occasionally will sell one, and then we can't ship it using the same method. We have to use a Ground Advantage label. It costs us $4 instead of 69 cents.
Yeah, those are all things that you have to be very well aware of as you're making these decisions.
Right. So that's what's going on here. I hope you guys are having a great week, and
stay healthy.
Yeah, stay healthy. You know, take the cough drops.
Yeah.
The vitamins.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Good luck to you out there.
Like and subscribe.